Thank you for your company on The Context USA today from Katrina Perry in Washington and me, Anita McVeigh, here in London. Thanks very much for watching, and do stay with us here on BBC News.
Tonight at 10, a political crisis in France as its government collapses again. The French Prime Minister loses a vote of confidence over his plans to deal with a looming debt crisis, the second Prime Minister to go in less than a year.
President Macron is resisting calls for him to resign too, but this crisis is denting France's image at home and abroad.
Also tonight we speak to the comedy writer Gary Linehan, who was arrested over online comments about trans issues. Heathrow's Terminal 4 is evacuated for several hours after 20 people report an injury. Police now say no trace of any adverse substance was found. Democrats release an image of a drawing apparently signed by Donald Trump, which he allegedly sent to the sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. President Trump denies the claim. And back in action in the UK, Prince Harry arrives on a 4-day solo visit to support charities.
So much has happened since those early days, for me, for you, and for World Child. The world has thrown a fair few challenges our way.
On Newsnight at 10:30 tonight, we'll bring you fresh insight on the stories of the day with big interviews and our regular panel of Newsnighters. And of course, look at what the papers are saying about tomorrow's news.
Good evening. France is engulfed in a major political crisis tonight after the collapse of the government. The Prime Minister, François Bayrou, is set to resign after losing a confidence vote, which he'd called to try to break months of political deadlock over his plans for economic reform. At the heart of it is France's spiralling debt crisis. Well, President Macron will now have to choose yet another Prime Minister. Let's get the latest from Paris and our Europe editor, Katia Adler. Katia. Our Europe editor, Katia Adler, thank you. The co-creator of the TV comedy show Father Ted, Graham Linehan, who was arrested at Heathrow last week, says he has no regrets over social media posts about trans issues, which led to him being held on suspicion of inciting violence. Graham Linehan has been a vocal critic of transgender activism in recent years. Today he said women had a right to defend themselves in female-only spaces. Our special correspondent Lucy Manning spoke to him. Heathrow's Terminal 4 was evacuated for several hours this evening after the emergency services were called in what was described as a possible hazardous materials incident. Around 20 people reported an injury, but police now say no hazardous material was found. The terminal is open again. Our correspondent Lauren Taylor has been following it all and is with us now. What has happened?
Yes, it's quite intriguing, isn't it? Emergency services were initially called at around 5 o'clock. Everything is normal, as if nothing ever happened.
Lauren Taylor, thank you. Democrats have tonight released a letter with a drawing allegedly signed by President Trump and sent to Jeffrey Epstein for his 50th birthday. The note has been at the centre of controversy in the United States. Tonight, the White House said President Trump did not sign or draw the note. Let's talk to our North America editor, Sarah Smith, who is in Washington. Tell us more. Sarah Smith, thank you. The new Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, says she will do whatever it takes to secure the UK's borders. On her third day in the job, she said she is considering suspending visas for people wanting to travel to the UK from countries which will not agree to take back migrants who have arrived here illegally. The Conservatives said it was about time Labour stopped talking tough and started acting tough. Our political editor, Chris Mason, reports. And Chris, let's talk about the fallout from Angela Rayner's departure on Friday. Her job as Deputy Prime Minister has been filled by David Lammy. Chris Mason, our political editor, thank you. Newsnight is coming up shortly with Paddy O'Connell.
Sophie, we'll have more as Labour MPs jostle tonight for votes for that post of Deputy Leader. One of our guests is a key factor in the new faction. And the UK could be headed for a bailout, warn the Conservatives. We've an interview with Kemi Badenoch in 15 minutes on BBC Two and all over the world on every other possible BBC platform.
Paddy, thank you. At least 6 people have been killed in one of the deadliest attacks in Jerusalem in recent years after gunmen opened fire at a bus stop during rush hour. Commuters began to flee when shots rang out at the busy remote road junction in the northern outskirts of the city. Security officials say the attackers, who were killed by a soldier and an armed civilian, were from the occupied West Bank. Hamas has praised the attack but has not said it was responsible for the shootings. Lucy Williamson reports. The public inquiry into the Southport attack has resumed in Liverpool today and has been hearing about the trauma suffered by the children who survived. Parents describe children who are too frightened to sleep alone and are so damaged by what they saw and heard that they still can't speak about what happened. Our special correspondent Judith Moritz reports. Prince Harry is back in the UK on a 4-day solo visit, which includes charity engagements, and it's been revealed a significant personal donation to BBC Children in Need while he's here. Prince Harry arrived at Heathrow this morning and went straight to Windsor Castle to lay a wreath at the grave of his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth, on what is the 3rd anniversary of her death. No details have been given as to whether the Prince will meet his father, the King, or other members of the royal family. Here's Daniela Relf. Time for a look at the weather now. Chris Fawkes is here. What have you got for us?
Well, it's been an unsettled start to the week, Sophie, with a day of sunshine and showers today. Had 15 millimetres of rain in Usk in Monmouthshire. That was the wettest place in the country. Heading in for Sunday and Monday could bring some heavy rain and some stronger winds. Sophie.
Chris, thank you. That's it from the BBC News at 10. The news continues here on BBC One. It's time for the news where you are. Goodbye.
Thank you, Sophie. Our top story tonight, a day of disruption on the Tube network. We'll look at how strike action has affected you. Hello and welcome. It's been a tricky day for people getting around London after the first full day of strike action on the Tube. The workout is because of a dispute over pay and hours. Here's our transport correspondent, Tom Edwards. Well, as Tom was saying, you've been finding other ways to get around, and figures from TfL show that. Up until lunchtime today, bus taps went up by 12% compared to the same period last year. Journeys on London Overground were up by 23%. The Elizabeth line, which has been running for most of the day, well, figures there showed a rise of 31%. And look at Santander Cycle Hire, up by 61% on last Monday. So, those are the figures, but what has the political fallout been? The last scheduled strike almost a year ago was called off after the mayor found £30 million. That move was criticised by some. Here's the view of one Conservative Assembly member and the Mayor of London, who is also the chair of Transport for London. Strong feelings there. Well, this is how it's looking on the Tube. As you can see, most lines are now completely suspended. You can stay up to date with your travel on the BBC website and BBC Radio London. Right, let's see how the weather's doing for you. Here's Georgie.
Good evening. Initially, it is a settled start to the week here in the capital. And tonight, that means it's also going to be as the next area of low pressure takes charge. Bye-bye.
So the first full day of strike action is over. How is the rest of the week looking for you? You can always get in touch with us. Email us at hello@bbclondon@bbc.co.uk. That's it from me and the team. Good night.